Welcome to the Soffy Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the live instant match reaction to Everton 1, Aston Villa 2. Everton have pretty much kissed goodbye to European football next season with another insipid home performance. God knows how many on the spin that's been now, but yeah, another poor performance where a team we were probably expected to beat have come and done a number on us. I'm joined by Terry, and we want to keep this one brief because we know how depressed we probably all are. We want to get to bed and probably get as inebriated as possible where we can't remember what our names are, because that's the way I'm feeling right now. And I'm sure many of you guys at home feel the same as well. We'll get straight into it, Terry. What in God's name went wrong there?
Same old. The curse of the home game. Won 3 games at Goodison since October. Just one of those mad things this season. You can't really be going into, like, when defenders are making mistakes like that game after game for the first, like, Holgate's give them their first goal, and he gave Spurs one of their goals, and Keane gave them the other goal in the last home game. People can moan about the coaching, they can moan about, like, the mentality all they want. When you're making mistakes like that, you can't account for that. There's nothing that you can do about that. Those players have let you down badly, and Holgate's let us down badly with that first goal.
Oh, absolutely. But at the end of the day, individual errors at the back don't make us completely toothless up front.
Oh no, that's another thing though. Shocking individual performances, like how Richarlison stayed on the pitch. I don't know. I've never seen him play worse than he played tonight. Every second touch was a tackle. He couldn't control the ball. His decision making was awful. He was absolutely dire tonight, and he's not been on his best all season, to be honest, Richarlison. But that was just awful from him.
Honestly, I don't know what the hell's wrong with Richarlison at the moment. He's just completely lost his way.
Goes back to what we've said all season, that you can moan about certain things. You can moan about like the style of play or the mentality or whatever. The biggest problem this team has got is depth. It can't lose a player from the first 11. We've not got James, and we've not got Takore, and we're a different team. We're just not good enough. Like, if we've got both of those players, we might score a lot more goals tonight. When Richarlison's having an off night, there's no one who can replace him. Josh King clearly hasn't done enough to prove that he can come in.
Definitely not.
We've got a team of 11, maybe 12 players, if you count the extra centre-back, who are good enough to compete. And if any of them have a bad game, you're done in, because you can't replace them with anyone. So if you're replacing Rodriguez with a waste of space like Iwobi, massively different thing. If you're one of your strikers, Richarlison's having an off night, tough. You can't replace him with anyone. The only one who had a bad game, who could have been replaced by someone to of a bit similar standard, ironically, was Holgate, but it never happened.
Yeah. I mean, you see the calibre of the subs, Delp, King, it's just not good enough. But on Holgate, what in God's name was he thinking here in such an important game for us to go and do that? No, it's not on.
Not as good as he thinks he is, Holgate. That applies to loads of, but he's not even half as good as he thinks he is.
Oh, very arrogant character for me. After a performance like that, when it meant as much, he shouldn't really be playing for Everton again, in my opinion. That was as bad a performance as I've seen from a defender since, I think someone mentioned it in our chat. It's the worst defensive display I've seen since Alcaraz in Kiev.
I feel that's a bit strong. He made a mistake, and I'm not saying he has he redeemed himself. He didn't, but Jesus, let's calm down. It's not that bad. But you know what it says to me is, it's just we're at the beginning of this process. We need better players. We need to get to the point where Holgate can't get a game because he's not good enough. We need and right now you could say, well, he should be like that now, but Keane and Mina aren't consistently good enough either. We need to get to the point. We need to bring in better players to the point where you can ride out bad performances. So if there's if Richarlison's playing like that again, for example, there's another forward you can bring on. If Holgate playing like that, you can just they forget like tonight. If Holgate does what he does against the Spurs game, you can just drop him, and there's no drop off in quality. Whereas Keane and Mina, that just much of a muchness, isn't it? We need better players to come in. We need more Jameses. We need more Luca Deans. We need more Calvert-Lewins. I'm not saying Carlo's blameless, but he's not the problem. It's the players let him down every time we lose games like this.
Oh, definitely. I mean, what can you say about some of these players? I mean, I was saying this while I was watching the game unfold, and it feels like we're always on our heels.
No pace.
Yeah, there's no pace, but but you're never going to have much pace when you've got to stand and start. Like all of their players are on their toes, and we're all standing on our heels, waiting for something to happen. It's like there's no urgency in this team.
It's the two fullbacks are on the toes. Godfrey's on his toes. Calvert-Lewin's on his toes. The midfield is just one paced completely. Now I'm not saying all the players are bad in there, but you look at Barkley tonight. He picks up the ball and he immediately travels with it. He drives forward. Barkley, forget his history with us. Barkley is what we need. That
Barkley would improve this team. John McGinn would improve this team.
Barkley, I know the way he left was awful and like whatever, and I'm not saying get him back, but imagine in a different like sort of timeline, we had him instead of Iwobi or Gomez. The difference he'd make, he wouldn't even need to be scoring constantly or assisting. He'd just travel with the ball. None of our players travel with the ball well. They have to like the only ones who travel with the ball well in our team are James Rodriguez, really, and even then he doesn't blister anyone. He's just skillful enough to go past players. Or even, ironically, Bernard, but he doesn't play enough anymore. But everyone else, everything they do is in front of the opposition. The opposition get back in front of them before they do anything. And that's the problem. We can't hurt teams on the counter-attack like that.
This is the thing, like, there's so many. I was saying this in the build-up. I think it was in our match preview. It was on with, I think it was you and Paul, wasn't it? And I was saying that, like, there's so many players that I'd have in our team out of their team. And I think, that's just proving the point today. I think that Bertrand Traore, I'd have him in a heartbeat. All players who can actually play football. I mean, some of these players we've got are absolutely brain dead. Like, even Richarlison, doesn't have a clue what he's doing with the ball.
He was the biggest problem going forward tonight, Richarlison. If he's having a good game instead of a bad, we could win that game 3-1, could be well away. But the amount of times he gets it, and he let his teammates down a lot there. Like Sigurdsson when he was through, and he just needed playing in, and times like that. Like some of the players weren't particularly having bad games, but it's just too many of them were. Like so, half the teams let the other half down for me tonight.
Richarlison's a key player as well. When he has a bad game, it's bad news. And Richarlison, I hate to say it, for all his qualities he brings to this team, he's such a painfully selfish player sometimes.
Yeah, he is. He is. But listen, we're relying on other teams to drop points now, but the season is not over.
It's over. It's over. It's well over, mate.
It's not, mate, because Tottenham is shite and they've got Ryan Mason as manager. I'm not saying
They're still going to finish above us, mate.
I don't know, because I'm banking on them being worse than us, not because we're good.
Yeah.
But even say we say it is over, say we finish 8th, I've seen plenty this season to see improvements on where we were at the beginning of the season. You'll see, we've had spells in the season, like, little 5-game blocks throughout, and there's been some awful ones, and there's been some good ones, like the first 5 games, December. There's plenty to build upon, but they need to have their ducks in a row this summer, because we need to have another summer like last summer where we bring in 4 first team players. We need the right back, we need the right midfielder, we need a centre midfielder, plus one other, don't know, maybe another forward. But we need players who go into the team and add that little bit extra. like all the others did last summer. We need to get to that point because we are still relying on shite like Delph, like Iwobi. And I know, some people are fans of Iwobi and all that, but it's just, I'm not even singling him out. He didn't do anything particularly
It
shit in
wasn't
this
that
game.
bad today, but
He was,
how bad
he,
he
he was
can be.
Yeah, the fact that he was completely ineffectual isn't up for him because he had a bad game more recently. But you need quality adding to this team. Carlo Ancelotti is not perfect, mate, but he's managed fucking Zidane, and it's both Ronaldos and everything. He knows who's good enough in this team and who isn't. So we need to start bringing in. And I don't mean go out and spend 50 million on this player and 50 million on that player. No, buy more Ben Godfreys, buy players like that. We're linked with Coutinho. I know it's a load of bollocks because the sources are bollocks. That's not what we need. We don't need another.
I've been trying to say this. This is Coutinho isn't what we need.
No,
We
I
need
mean, it's not.
pace, and more freaking pace and
There's about 10
strength.
reasons why that links bollocks, but we need young, hungry, dynamic players. We need fast
Fast
players.
players, strong players. We need players who will run through brick walls because these players won't.
You know what? I don't even think it's an desire thing with our players. I don't think it's that they don't care. I just don't think they're good enough. They want to do it. They're just not good enough to do it. You can see even the ones who aren't always perfect. You can see the ones who are good enough. I get frustrated. You can see Dominic Calvert-Lewin at the end of the game with a face on him like thunder because he knows I've scored an header. I've played well. I've done my bit, but I've got Richarlison there. I've got fucking other players who are just not up to it. Just haven't got the minerals, and that's what we need to do. We need to bring in more players of a higher quality to make the difference. We've been this, it's a full season. It's not a few games. It's not down to this game. It's down to Fulham. It's down to Burnley at home. It's down to all these games that are that we've lost. And you can always point at the common thing, and I think it's depth. If we lose one or two players like we have tonight, one or two players, we dramatically change as a team quality wise.
But it just isn't good enough. And the thing is, if we don't get into Europe, what players are going to want to sign for us?
I don't think that makes a difference at this point. Like, I think our targets, I know I take what you're saying because usually that is a big difference maker, but I think our targets are our targets and we're already probably speaking to them. I don't think Europe makes a big difference because we won't be targeting players who will be swayed by that. We'll be if we are going for more Ben Godfreys, doesn't make a difference. I don't think we're going for players who need the Champions League because I think we know we're not going to get them, but it's important to get Europe just from a financial point of view, I think, and I think that's why it's the target for the season. It's no longer in our hands. We're waiting on other teams to drop points, but we've said the season's over about 10 times this season, and I'm not trying to put a positive spin on it going, there's still time to go. We've been awful, but I'm not ruling out finishing in Europe just because other teams keep dropping points, and it's still, I think it will go to the last game, which is almost bad for us because we're playing fucking Man City. But
It is, yeah, but it's not going to be enough. This team haven't got enough.
I don't know.
This team is absolute horseshit. Let's be fully honest.
Brian
Hutchinson's just put this in the chat. Squad is a chocolate teapot. That sums it up pretty well.
I just wish every game we had left was away. Which is bizarre to say when we were poor away for 3 years before this season. But I just wish every game was even the Sheffield United game at Goodison I'm worried about because we just can't do it at Goodison.
Oh no, we'll get beat off them, honestly. Literally, all teams have to do against us, mate, is outrun us, and they will. Some of these players just either can't run or won't run.
I don't know. I just hope that James is fit again for the next game. But I don't know. We don't know the extent of his injury. We can't do without, especially him. He's obviously by far the best player at the club. But we need everyone. If James was playing that game, we scored about 4 goals because he's the difference. But frankly, I can't moan about that because we should have conceded another 4 goals in that first half. Pickford kept us in it.
It just kills me watching. They've got a much better team than we've got, Aston Villa.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I know very much about that, mate.
Far faster than us and far more athletic, and they've done us tonight, but there's a reason they're lower than us in the table because they're not as good a team as us over a full season. And they might be at the end of it, but so far, the thing is, if I'd have more hope of us winning away at their ground because we'll get to play the game that we want to play. They are just, they've got what we need. They've got athleticism, they've got pace, they've got industry in the middle of the pitch. They've got nowhere near the level of quality we've got in some areas, but they've got better physicality than us. Their physical abilities are better than us, and pace wins games. They were twice as fast as we were every time they broke.
Definitely, I think it's just painful, but we've been witnessing this for years, mate. Like the lack of pace in the squad, it's been screaming at us for like must be 5 years, 6 years now. And why haven't we brought in some players with rapid pace? You know, Marcel Brands has had 3 years now, and he still hasn't, like, the penny still hasn't dropped.
To be honest, mate, we're just cursed. We brought in like Balassi and Luchman, and they either go shit the second they get here, or they want to get off because they're homesick. I think this season, this summer rather, I think they will be looking at pacey players. They brought in, they addressed the problems they had in last summer. They needed creativity, they needed physicality in the midfield, which was the Corey and Allen. They needed recovery pace in the defence, which is Godfrey. And this summer, when they need a right back and need a right midfielder, I think they're going to have to say, listen, we need someone who can cover the ground because we are slow as a team. And if we come out of the next transfer window and we've got little Bernard type players, small, intricate footballers, but no pace, then I'll just turn around and say, hold my hands up and go, no, the transfer team are just terrible. But I think we'll be looking at pacey players. We've got to be. Then if we can see it, they can see it.
It's just one of them. I can't stand another season of watching us play like this. I know people are like, "Oh, low block," and like, I don't mind low block. I like, there's horses for courses. There's times where defensive football is the best course of action, but there needs to be a mixture, in my opinion, and I don't feel like we're capable of attacking properly at the moment. And the players, we need to bring in more pace and more directness because we can't have another season of this turgid rubbish. I can't stomach another season of this.
I know, but what you've got to remember, mate, is we've got this manager in and he's working on a formula. He's adding things, he's taking things away. You look at Pep Guardiola finished 4th in his first season at City. They had a much better team there. Klopp finished 4th in his first season. Much better team there. Less competitive league at that time as well because the other teams weren't as good. We'll be the same. There'll be things he's going, right, well, I need that, but I need to tweak that. We're at the beginning of a process. It's an overused expression in football that's the work in progress or the transitional period. But for the first time,
we've had this for years, mate.
Yeah, I know, but we have to keep.
We've got a better manager.
No, I know, but we've said that several times. But then when you sack the manager, you've got to start it again. So we're not in the same transition as the one under Koeman or the one under Silva because if you reset it, you start at 0 again. This is the first time where we've actually been one where we're going to, clearly going to stick with it because I can't see him getting sacked no matter what. So this is the time where you go. And plus, this is the first manager we've had in where his signings have all been good signings. Everyone else has bought shit. I liked him, but Davy Klaassen and fucking people like that. You need to understand that it will get better, but he needs more players. He can only do so much with the players he's got. When he's bringing Delph on, he's working with someone else's broken toys. He knows Fabian Delph shit. He knows it won't be shit. They won't be in his plans going forward. That's why they're always on the bench. But that's why he's sticking with like the same core of players for most of the season, because he knows who he wants to work with and who he doesn't. There's a reason Josh King is not getting on the pitch when we're having poor performances from forwards, because he knows he's not going to use Josh King next season. He's not going to be here.
We saw him come on. He didn't cut the mustard.
No, and it's not even like pointing the finger at him, but it's the big picture thing. I know it's a kick in the bollocks losing like that, and it feels like that's it. The season's over, and it might be, but you've got to, it's not all about this game or this season. It's about building something that you can finish in Europe every season, rather than just go for it this season. If you fail this season, okay, we'll go again, but go with better players and better players. You've got to build up. We haven't built anything since David Moyes was here. We've just gone through a cycle of appointing shite managers and letting them buy shite players and just trying to make the best of it. This is the first time where we've actually got a good manager and he's bringing in good players, and we're like tight and tighter and tighter and tighter, and we just, every single thing feels so frustrating. But you've got to try and force yourself into thinking from things started when Carlo came in, things reset. So you're looking at it with the frustration of 5 years. Look at it with a feeling of 18 months. That's the way I'm trying to do it. I know it's not easy, but that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, that is the way it should be. I think it's more, obviously Carlo's been here. He's doing his job and he's doing relatively well. He got it wrong today, I thought, but for the most part, he's got it right. For me, it's more. He has, yeah, but he's generally got more right than he's got wrong. And I think for me, it's more just the pain of the last 5 years of wasted time and progress and lack of progress. More like that is just getting to me. And the more I see another season peter out, we're not going to be playing in Europe next season. It's just does you in.
No, I understand, but you've got to just try. I mean, I don't blame anyone for not being able to, because it's easy for me to sit there and say it, but try and think of things in the context of 18 months, not the context of like 6 years, because that's the way. Because Carlo can't do anything about what happened before he got here when we had absolute jokers, like buying shite and fucking making it like he. I would be interested. I know we've done this earlier in the season. I would be interested to see what our league position would be if you take his whole reign in. Like, I reckon we'd probably be 6th.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean anything, but it's an indicator. It's a show.
It's an indicator of what a job he's doing, because he's 6th with a squad that, in my opinion, should be about 16th. Or certainly should have been until they brought his players in this season.
Yeah. It's a long road, and it might be, no guarantee it'll work with him, but this is the first time I've had, since Moyes left, I'll tell a lie, first time since Martinez's second season, because I did really like Martinez in the first season. It was the first time in many a year where I've gone, actually, I've got faith things will improve. Look at this season. If you'd have offered us at the beginning of the season, you go, well, what do you want to see this season? You wouldn't have even known what to ask for, because the COVID sort of, no crowds, you wouldn't have known how it's going to pan out. If you'd have said to you, listen, 5 games to go, you'll be 8th, be a couple of points off Europe, you'll have won away at Anfield, you'll have won away at Arsenal, you'll have won away at Spurs, you'd have gone, fucking, thanks very much. Thank you. Because that doesn't mean we had a great season. If we finish 8th, I won't come away going, what a great season that was, but there's things you can build on. Marco Silva could have had 10 years here and he wouldn't have done that. Neither would Sal Allardyce, neither would Koeman, neither would Martinez. I know these are low bars, but I'm trying to paint the picture for you that you've got to look at things removed from the frustration of what was a shit performance and a shit result, and realise that we're working towards something better. And I think it will get better. I know we've said this so many times, but the summer's huge. The summer is huge. You need to make those. You need to have another summer like last summer, where 4 players come in and they all go into the first team and improve us. So what Villa did last year. Villa were fucking 17th, and they brought in 4 or 5 players and turned it around, and now they're a quality outfit. We need to do that ourselves. We need to bring in a right back, a right midfielder, a centre midfielder, and maybe another forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think on top of that, we need to bomb out about 10 of these current members of this squad.
Oh yeah.
That's the most important part. Some of these players need thrown firmly in the bin and having the lid locked on it, probably.
Yeah, definitely. There's players who I like. I like Andre Gomez. But he's not good enough, is he? Not by a long way.
He's rancid, mate. He's absolutely rancid, him.
And I'm not even going to point at like the blame, the boo boys, like the ones people don't like. Like Delph, he's played about 4 games and he's been shitting everyone. Can't point at him for this season, but Iwobi's crap.
But he's still crap.
Richarlison's not good for a player who's meant to be a top player. He's not really done it this season, has he?
No, I
I'm not
mean,
saying but I'm not on. But Jesus, we need better than him. If this is his level, what he's
no.
playing this season, I think we need better than him.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he could still turn it around, but we need someone who can fill in while he's stinking the place out.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, we can't, this is big. If you look at this last run of games, have we been good since Decore got injured? We haven't.
No, and I knew that'd be the case, mate. I'll be honest. I knew that'd be the case.
Yeah, we all knew. There was an outside chance that Gabamon was going to come in, and we actually saw him on the pitch, and then he got injured again. I can't really blame him if someone fell on his leg, but that's what we need. We need more Decores, we need more Godfreys, we need more players in the squad. So when one player gets injured, we don't fall apart like this.
Just give me a midfield.
Yeah,
be just Decores. We need players who can actually win physical duels in the middle of the park, and we need wingers who can run.
I genuinely believe this, mate. It's 10% coaching problem. It's 10% a mentality problem. It's 80% a quality problem. You're replacing good players, not great players, good players with shite. That's the top and bottom of it. You can't when James Rodriguez goes down injured and you're bringing on Iwobi who does nothing. That's when you know that you've got no depth. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not going to have another James on the bench, but you need to have someone better.
No, you need I know he has its detractors, but in fairness, I think Sigurdsson's a decent backup for Rodriguez.
Positionally, he is, yeah, but imagine. Trying to think of an example. Leon Bailey, he's quite popular, with a lot of support.
We're not getting him. We're not getting him.
No, I don't think I wouldn't expect us to either, but just as an example, say we did have him, and I'm not saying he'd be on our bench, but then if you'd lost James, you've still got him. You know what I mean? Or if you'd had, I don't know, name player. Mason Mount. I know he's quality, but say we had like a Mason Mount, you'd be like, well, we're not just relying on one player. He's quality as well. He'll create chances. When we've got one player who scores goals, and we've got 2 players who create goals. We've got James and we've got Dean, and we've not had all 3 of them for long spells in the season. And that's where we struggle. You've got 3 impactful players on the results part of the pitch. They've the results on the pitch, and if you're always missing one of them, you're a third of your team down for me.
Same with Decore as well. I think to miss Decore, we've missed the entire legs of the midfield.
Yeah. I mean, Alan's a good player, but he can't do everything. You know what I mean? He's come into the Premier League this season. Don't forget, he's not going to be great in every game. I actually don't think he had too bad a game tonight. I think he, the reasons we lost, he wasn't one of them, put it that way. But he doesn't look the same player without Decore. We need more presence in midfield, and we need more players who affect results. We need more players who contribute, because who scored this season? It's just Calvert-Lewin, practically, isn't it?
Yeah. Literally, we need more. To be honest, mate, I think I'll be honest. Looking at that in terms of the lack of the legs in the midfield, the lack of adequate backups, we are miles away from being a decent team.
We do some comments anyway. I'm sure people are fuming in them.
Yeah, let's get through some comments, because I need to have a break from having some fume myself, to be honest. Ryan Hutchison's been getting involved a lot tonight. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Richie just runs down blind alleyways and can't get out. If we have to progress, I'm struggling to see if he's a part of it. I mean, I think there's time for Richarlison. He's still young. He's going to bounce back. I mean, I'm not going to, turn on him too quickly because you know what he is capable of. But
Do you know
yeah,
what I
it was
think?
one of his worst showings, that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what I think of Richarlison? You know what I think he needs? He needs a bit of the Pickford treatment. He needs the frighteners put on him with another wide player or another forward. Say we get this Hwang Hee-chan who plays up front and across the three. If Richarlison needs to have that sort of motivation of another player of his, sort of mould to push him, because he's got no one pushing him. He plays every game if he's fit. Remember how when he got that suspension, we went terrible without him. I think he knows that now, so he's not always on his game because he knows he's not going to get dropped. I think if you've got we need another wide player and another forward. If we get one of each or one who fits both, I think Richarlison will up his game because he'll know he could get dropped. At the minute, he knows he's never going to get dropped.
Yeah. It's Everton Fan TV. Toffee says, utter shite season done. Watch the flip flop come out. The flip flops are already out, mate.
Not a shite season, no. Come on, it's a frustrating season. It's one
No,
where
I don't think he's saying shite season. I think he was saying shite. The performance was shite and the season's done.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's about right.
I think that's more relatable. I think we can definitely see that's certainly valid. Ethan says how Holgate gets gamed over Mina and Keane is beyond me. I said this as well while I was watching this game. How in God's name is Holgate getting picked over? Okay, Keane's had a bit of an injury and just come back, but Mina, I don't understand why Holgate's getting picked over Yerry Mina. I mean, I'm not saying Yerry Mina's pulling trees up, but he's better than Holgate, let's be honest.
Well, Keane had made several mistakes in the previous games when he was playing, so I can see why he's been dropped. Holgate has now made 2 consecutive home goal costly mistakes.
Holgate's made more mistakes than Keane's made, mate.
Oh yeah, I agree, but Keane was so bad he did need dropping before, and now but Holgate's whatever Keane had, Holgate's caught it. So I don't know what Mina and Godfrey. Like we've got the only place in the squad there's depth as centre back, so maybe try Mina and Godfrey next because that's the only centre back partnership we haven't tried. We've tried all the others. So
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know.
give
Holgate's
it a
getting
go.
put in. Let's have it right. Holgate's getting put in because of his passing, but didn't amount to nothing tonight, so it's not worth it if he's going to be fucking making
Faster
mistakes.
to their striker.
Yeah, if he's going to make mistakes that cost us goals, his passing's not worth having.
Definitely. It will be cost 30 million. Let that sink in for a minute. I've already let that sink in. I let that sink in on the deadline day when we signed them, mate, and I was depressed then, and I'm still depressed now. Yeah. Les Evans says, do you think Carlo needs more time because other managers would have gone after that crap? It's not the manager. I mean, the manager's made some mistakes, and I'm not happy with him today, but he doesn't need sacking. He's the last thing we need to change.
Honestly, I understand, there's a little bit of a reluctance from some people to criticise the manager, and then some other people react to that by being overly critical of him to prove a point that he's not above criticism. If you want to make things 500 times worse, sack the manager. There is literally not a better manager in world football that we could attract.
He's a brilliant manager. He's a good fit for the club as well. I just think, why in God's name would we sack him? I mean, he makes mistakes, but even Guardiola makes mistakes.
I honestly, I just think that's part of it. It's a disease of modern football that everyone's been trained now to think sack the manager when you're unhappy with something. It's ridiculous. When was the last time a fan base screaming for a manager to go worked out in their favour, except when we got Silver out and replaced him with Ancelotti? Name one other time where a better manager came in.
I can't think of many. I mean, we've seen plenty of it at Arsenal lately, haven't we? And I mean, there's plenty clamouring for Arteta's scalp there. And I mean, yes, they have been really poor this season, but they're not far behind us. They've not been like as embarrassing as they're making it out to be.
Fans screaming for a manager to go off the back of bad performances. I can't think of one apart from when Carlo himself came in and replaced Silva. And let's be honest, When we were screaming for Silva to go out, we didn't even dream Carlo was available. And that was the last time a manager was sacked by popular consent of the fans and an improvement came in. The only other one I can think of who was improved from the previous manager was the opposite, because the fans didn't want him out. It was Lampard and Tuchel. The fans didn't want Lampard out. The board at Chelsea wanted him out because the fans all adored him because it was Lampard. So when the fans get a little, get whipped up into wanting managers sacked, it never ends in improvements. It always ends in worse.
Yeah, it's definitely not the answer. Sacking Ancelotti is like the biggest disaster we could like inflict on ourselves. So I'm definitely not going down that route. Toffee Blues, John's just popped up. Look at Spurs and they're home for a manager. Mourinho gone and its top 3 targets have all rejected them.
Yeah, if you fancy getting linked to Eddie Howe, then be my guest and sack Carlo Ancelotti 3-time champions.
Graham Potter. Ethan says could be. If we're being honest, Carlo's doing better than Arteta, and all I hear from Arsenal fans is to trust the process. That's the same sort of, we've been hearing that from Arloff for a while as well, but I think there's a lot more.
If I had my way, I'd double Ancelotti's wages and give him twice the contract length. That's cards on the table. You will never, unless at this point in time, you would never be able to convince me that Carlo Ancelotti needs to leave Everton. Not a chance. Not a chance. And the only reason anyone's even saying that is because modern football fans have been trained to ask for the manager out when they're unhappy with the team. It's just inbuilt. I'm not saying he's never made a bad decision. I'm not saying he's never bollocks the game plan up. He's done both. But to sack him is just lunacy. If you want Carlo Ancelotti sacked, delete your account.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's just, I think it's the same as like the mass media trying to convince. It's like everyone wants an easy answer, don't they? Everyone goes, "Oh, it's the manager." So it's the equivalent of it's the classic like Daily Mail convincing everyone that the easy answer is racism. It's literally the same thing in my opinion. It's like everyone's always looking for the easiest solution, and that'd be it. Like I was like, if we sack the manager, everything will be all right.
Honestly, it's because of Arsenal Fan TV. I've got no problem with Arsenal Fan TV, but because they became a meme with Wenger out, it literally created a habit. Managers wanted to, fans called for managers to be sacked well before they did, but because it was the first high profile, campaign by a fan group in the social media era, and it sort of like gave everyone the impression that when a team plays shit, you need to ask for the manager to be sacked. I honestly might, I'd be tempted to walk away from Everton if we sacked Ancelotti this time. Like, it's never happening. Zero chance it's happening because he's part of the solution, not the problem. But I'm just seeing absolute melts on social media going, "Oh, he needs to go." It's like, oh, mate, come on now.
Jesus. Nah, I mean that's the last thing we need to do. We just need to be honest, mate. It's just a case of get this season out the way now. Whatever happens, just get it done, and let's see what happens next year. Hopefully, whatever it is, the football we're watching isn't as torturous as what we've had to witness today and in many other home games. Because that's the real problem now. Is like it's not even like we're going down fighting. It's just depressing football. Horrible to watch. Some of these players look like they don't know what a football is.
Saw a stat from Dominic King right after the game where it said Liverpool and Everton since the 1st of January, so in 2021, I've played like 18 games, so 17 and won 2. Both teams put together.
One each in it.
One each, which shows that it's not all. It is a bit, but it's not all about Everton. It's a quirk of the season. We're going to finish the season as a league. We're going to finish the season with more away wins than home wins, probably the first time ever. Like, I don't mean Everton, I mean the whole league will have more away wins than home wins. That's probably the first time it's ever happened anywhere, never mind in England. But that's what happens when you take the fans out of grounds. We'd have won loads of our own games that we lost or drew if fans were in that ground, but conversely, we'd have lost or drew some of the away games that we won.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what the difference would have been. I mean, to be fair, whatever way you look at it, I think this season's still been an improvement on last year, and God, it's not hard for that to be the case, but it is progress, I guess.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I think we've got very few home wins this season, but two of them we had fans in the ground, and I think that's the only reason we beat Chelsea and Arsenal at home. We had fans in, so we should
Yeah,
have had. We could have easily had two less wins at home.
yeah, very much possible. But either way, I think it's still we will get there. It's just going to be a thing for next season now, and I mean, it always sucks because it feels like we're saying that every season. But as you say, it's like this is only Carlo's first full season, so we'll see
Yeah,
what happens when.
it is true, but it's harder to swallow when you've said it for 5, 6 years. But honestly, to everyone, you've got to try and force yourself into the frame of mind of judging things based on a starting point of Boxing Day 2019, because that's when it started. That's when this project started. We literally drew a line under all this shit and brought in a top manager, and we've got to look at it from there. Carlo can't do nothing about all the frustration, all the wasted time and wasted seasons and wasted money before he got here. Judge him based on when he started, not when everything else went on.
Yeah, well, we'll leave it on that slightly more positive note, and because we need it, don't we? You know, after watching that Turkic crap. So yeah, let's start looking ahead to next season. Not necessarily over yet, but we'll just wait and see. A few more games to play.
Plenty of twists and turns. Man United could win tomorrow, and then suddenly you're still within a game of Liverpool, and you've got a game in hand on them. You just don't know. I'm not saying, oh, it's not over yet. It's nearly over, but it's not quite over. There's so much that can still happen. You don't know. But we're
Yeah,
not
we'll
doing
just
our.
have. We're not definitely not doing any favors for ourselves, but we'll just literally let's just get this season out the way. Whatever happens, for good, for better or worse, let's just get it done. I've had enough. Let's try and get some actually decent footballers in, and we can actually enjoy watching Everton play next season. Hopefully,
When it gets to August, mate, you won't be able to wait for it to come back. You can't wait for it to finish now, and you won't be able to wait for it to start.
oh no, I want it back in August, but I want it back when we have some decent players in the team because my God, I've had enough of watching this pile of crap.
Me too, mate.
Yeah, let's get it done. Like, yeah, get the season out the way and move forwards. And as Aaron Koeman says, trust in the process. I mean, don't say that in front of Troop. You'd lose the plot on Arsenal TV if you said that in front of him. But yeah, trust in the process, guys. Yeah, we'll finish up there, guys.
Slight positive from that result is Arsenal in the bottom half now, which is quite funny.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. So yeah, Troops will still be screaming in front of the TV, going trust the process. Are we still trusting the process? Well, I think we can still trust our process. I mean, Carlo's done okay. You know, we'll see what happens. But you know, it has been progress. You know, we finished 12th last year. I don't think we'll be finishing that low, no matter what happens. So, you know, let's try and be positive as much as we can. See what happens. But until then, guys, thank you for tuning in. Apologies for the depressing tone of this, but are you surprised after what we've just seen? But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Give us a like, subscribe for more live streams, more content. And until then, thank you for tuning in on the Toffee Blues. See you later.